The following account is a dramatized reconstruction based on documented events in the Colmar Pocket, Alsace, France, January 1945. The named individuals are fictional composites. The tactical situation, the terrain, the German assault force, and the outcome are historically accurate. I have been asked, in the years since the war, to explain what happened near Holzwehr on the 26th of January, 1945. I have told the story to my son, to a regimental historian, and once to a reporter who printed the wrong name and got the date wrong by 3 days. I am going to tell it one more time, as accurately as I can, and try to get it right. My name is Corporal Raymond Dills, attached to B Company, and I was in the tree line 50 meters, back when the burning tank destroyer became a firing position. The assault came out of the fog at first light. 6 German tanks and what we later estimated as 200 infantrymen moved on our position from the northeast through the flat frozen fields outside the village. B Company had been ground down over 2 weeks of bitter fighting in the Colmar Pocket. We had gone in at roughly 180 men and come out of those 2 weeks with fewer than 30 effectives. The company commander, Lieutenant Vance, was 22 years old and had been in command for 11 days following the previous officer's evacuation. He had taken a machine gun round through the left forearm sometime around 07:30. He did not go to the rear. What he said, when the runner came back from the tree line with the field dressing, was, "Get back to your position." He said it without particular emphasis, the way you tell someone to do a thing you expect will be done. Then he climbed on the burning tank destroyer. I need to explain the tank destroyer. It was an M10, and it had taken a hit from a Panzerfaust at some point in the previous 40 minutes. It was not fully burning. It was smoldering from the rear engine compartment, throwing black smoke, and the ammunition inside was at risk, which meant that under normal circumstances it was a vehicle no rational man would approach. The 50 caliber machine gun mounted on the commander's ring was still functional. Lieutenant Vance climbed onto that vehicle and employed the 50 caliber against the advancing German infantry. I watched this happen from the tree line. I want to be careful about what I say here, because some of what has been written about that morning makes it sound like a single man stopped a German assault through willpower alone. That is not what happened, and it is not what Vance would tell you himself if you asked him. What happened was this. Vance took the 50 and used it with accuracy and discipline to disrupt the German infantry's forward momentum, pinning elements, forcing the assault to slow and bunch, breaking the coordination between the tanks and the foot soldiers. At the same time, he was calling fire adjustments to the artillery liaison by radio, walking the rounds in. The artillery was the decisive element. What Vance did was keep the German infantry disorganized long enough for the artillery to land where it needed to land. He did this for approximately 70 minutes. He did it from a burning vehicle, with a field dressing on his left arm, while the German tanks continued to advance, and his riflemen pulled back to the tree line behind him. The company had 31 men when the assault began. Lieutenant Vance ordered 28 of them back to the tree line to consolidate the defensive position. He kept 2 men with him near the tank destroyer for a period of perhaps 15 minutes before he ordered them back as well. I asked Private Hollins, one of the 2 who had stayed, what happened before Vance told them to withdraw. Hollins said that when the first of the tanks got inside 200 meters, Vance had looked at them both and said, quietly, that there was no tactical reason for 3 men to be on that vehicle, and 1 man could work the gun, and that they should get back to the tree line and hold it. Hollins said, he didn't say it like a hero. He said it like arithmetic. That is the truest description of Lieutenant Vance I have ever heard. The German assault broke and withdrew at approximately 09:15. The artillery had found its range by 08:40. The German infantry, having lost cohesion under the combined fire of the 50 and the incoming rounds, could not maintain the advance. The tanks pulled back when it became clear the infantry was not following. A German assault of that size and composition should, by any reasonable calculation, have overrun a 31-man rifle company in under 20 minutes. It did not. Lieutenant Vance climbed down from the tank destroyer when the last German infantryman had withdrawn from the field. He was bleeding from the arm, which the field dressing had controlled, and from a fragment wound on the right thigh that none of us had known about during the engagement. He had been hit at some point during the 70 minutes and had not reported it. He walked back to the tree line and gave the order to consolidate and prepare for a possible second assault. The second assault did not come. I have been asked, over the years, what kind of man does a thing like that? I have given different answers at different times, and I am not sure any of them were quite right. The truest answer I have found is this. Vance was not the kind of man who made separate decisions about what was worth doing and what was too dangerous to attempt. He did not weigh the burning tank destroyer against his own life in the way the question implies. He looked at the situation. A company of 31 men, an assault that would overrun them in minutes without intervention, a functional 50 caliber on a vehicle he could still reach, and he made the only decision the situation allowed for if the company was going to survive. He has said in the years since that he does not think of it as courage, he thinks of it as arithmetic. He is, I have come to believe, wrong about this, but I understand why he says it. The 28 men who came home from Holtzwihr, the men who held the tree line, who fell back in the order he gave, who kept their positions through 70 minutes of artillery and tank fire, they know what kind of arithmetic it was. We do not need the lieutenant to explain it to us. We were there.